welcome to Warrior Rise Live. I am so excited to be in front of you guys tonight because we are going to talk about some much needed topics tonight, and we are hoping that this helps you. So go ahead and share this. We are on YouTube, live on purpose on YouTube. We're also on my pages. We're also on our co-host pages. So make sure that you share this broadcast, share it in your groups wherever you need to, because I know that the conversation we're going to have tonight is going to be amazing and it's going to uplift some folks, help some people through some things, and I'm excited to be here with each and every one of you guys. I'm really, really stoked to announce my co host because I know that these ladies are going to bring it tonight. As we talk about growth and we talk about grit and grace, these ladies have all of those things. And I know that they're going to bring some much needed wisdom to the conversation tonight. So I'm going to ask real quick that everybody share this, get this out. Let people know that we are here. If you got to tag some folks and tell them, hey, we're here, we need you to log in right away. So I'm going to go ahead and bring some of these amazing women up. As I do, you'll get to meet them one on one. So I want to start first with Nita Michelle, aka Coach Sass. She's the owner and operator of Bougie Berets and Such and Part in My Healing coaching program. She's a mom, wife, sister, friend, and way more than that. Walking in her newly dubbed auntie era. Come on now. She also serves on the executive board of Stiletto Boss Foundation. I'm in awe of her continuous growth, her tenacity, her wit, and sometimes her mouth just a little bit, but that's okay because that's what we need in this conversation today. Please help me welcome Coach Sass to Warrior Live.
Good evening. Good evening.
We clapping, we clapping. Hey, welcome. All right, next up is none other than Dr. Shamara J. Hutchins, the CEO of the Serene Corporation, clinical psychologist, author. Dr. Shamara is a light in her community, aiming to shift the stigma of mental health and make it accessible to everyone. Known to many as the mindologist, she pours into others through mentorship, helping to guide people to living the life they desire. She serves on the Stiletto Boss Foundation as national president. She's a member of Sigma Gamma Rho. She's also a member of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women of Greater Cleveland. She's just kind of like the bomb a little bit. She's a mom, wife, friend, sister, auntie, daughter, granddaughter, and an employer. Mm, employer. Okay, please help me welcome Dr. Shamara Hutchins. Woo, I see y'all on the mute. That's okay. Y'all ain't gonna stay on mute long. Next up is my sister of many years, CC Norris, owner of Posh, wife, mother, sister, friend, and so much more. She is a finance executive and entrepreneurial creative. She will put together something beautiful on the creative side and on point at a moment's notice. And her baked potato bar is critically acclaimed across Cleveland, Ohio, and will be national soon. A source of faith, prayer, and huge supporter of women, you can count on her to have your back, front, sides. She serves as an executive board member of Stiletto Boss Foundation as our money lady. Please help me welcome CC Norris.
Hey,
Ooh, y'all so special. It's taking me a while to say the words. All right, Dion. I gotta talk about my girl Dion. I met her years ago and she just is so fly. I don't even know how to say it, but owner of Age with Vibrancy and author of Look Good Naked, Dion Jones is an amazing soul. She's a go-getter that is serious about health and wellness. She serves as the president of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women of Greater Cleveland. That was a lot of words. And she is also in support of women winning. I see her support. I see her supporting women, and I love it. With an upcoming Age with Vibrancy 12-week program, this amazing lady is always on the go. Please help me welcome Dion Jones. Our panel is lit. Our panel is lit. In case you didn't know, I'm Stacey Purvis Kirk, founder of Stiletto Boss Foundation, co-founder of Her Society, coach, motivational speaker, author, six-time cancer survivor, mom, daughter, fiance, sister, friend, and a lot more. Happy to be here with you ladies on tonight. I was able to get that done relatively quickly, and I'm excited about that, even though I got tongue tied multiple times. Now, I'm going to say it again. I got 5 people live watching us. That's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough people watching us because we're about to give all the goods. We're going to spill them all on the table. We're going to help some people transition into something else, what they would love to be. And so, in order for us to do that, and I'm multitasking right now because I'm making sure that my people know that they need to be on here as well. But I want to make sure that this gets seen by many people. So please make sure that you to take a quick moment to share this with your audience. So tonight's topic is just something that I felt we needed to talk about because people are going through things. Multiple people are saying life is life, and that is kind of the mantra or the quote of 2024. Life is lifing. However, there's something to be said about the ability to power through when life is lifing, the ability to take those challenges head on and transition them into something else. And these ladies on the screen with me, I know firsthand, have done that. They've shown grace, they've experienced and displayed grit, and I have seen growth in all of them. And so I'm excited to be able to have this conversation with them on tonight. So I'm going to start the conversation off, and I'm hoping to get some amazing feedback. And please make sure you put questions and comments. We definitely will answer those as we are talking. So, when life is overwhelming, we're talking about lifing. How can we embrace grace, or how can embracing grace help us navigate through those situations? When something comes up in the moment, you're like, not again, or, but how can we embrace using grace and the grace that we have towards the situation, towards others, towards ourselves, without losing our sense of self? What does grace under fire look like? I'm going to start with Dr. Shamara and see what her thoughts are on this topic.
That is that's a good question. That's definitely a good question because we do that saying life is lifing. And so when I think about grace under fire, we always say give yourself grace, right? Give yourself the understanding that,
Mhm.
things will happen. Life is always going to have its twists and turns. If it didn't have its twists and turns, you'll be bored. Then you'll start saying on the other end, I ain't got nothing going on. My life is boring. But so give yourself the understanding that things will happen. And the more that you stay calm in a situation and have faith, that's where grace comes in. I am going to have faith that things are going to work out. And so when the chaos comes, knowing that the grace, like I said, God is my foundation, that is going to work out no matter what. And so that's how, when it comes to things really being hard or tragic or anything in that nature, I always have the foundation. I made it through it once. I'm going to make it through it again. All it takes is one time to get through something, and you can get through everything. So
Yep,
that's how I think about it.
love it.
I was going to, it was a perfect segue for me because it's definitely a faith journey. Um, I definitely lean on my faith when that fire comes, when when the mountain seems to get harder to climb, when it seems as though those situations and those circumstances come and you seem to lose self, and you don't know where the grace is. It's the faith that comes into play. So um, when I'm trying not to make it preachy, but it definitely, God definitely comes into play for me in that His grace is sufficient for me.
Okay.
Well, grace, I mean, there's a whole hymn about it. Amazing Grace. Um, like I said, not to be preachy, I also try to keep a focus on self-compassion in the midst of things. Because like you said, sometimes it does seem just like you can't get through it. But like Dr. Hutchins said, if I've been through something before, I can do it again. And for me, I definitely focus on being kind to myself because the world is cruel enough. And I focus on mindfulness, staying in the moment, because I have a tendency to automatically jump to the worst case scenario instead of staying in the present and stop trying to guess what the future is and keeping rooted in that faith. And I always keep a little bit of my grandmother with me. So she gave me this little rock when I was little out of her garden. And I still keep that literally like in my pocket. I keep it in my purse. And I just kind of hold on to it because she was deeply rooted, deeply spiritual. So her faith helps enhance my faith. So that's how I keep my grace attuned.
For myself, I am in a phase where I feel like I'm rebuilding myself. So I've just been telling myself these past couple of weeks, grant yourself grace. Like Rome was not built in a day. And I just look at different things I've been through and I'm like, I've healed too much not to raise the bar on who has access to me. When you open up yourself for more negativity from people to just allow them to dump the stuff, it started to cloud my judgment. It made me second guess and question myself. So I have to keep reminding myself everybody is worthy of a little bit of grace. You can get a little bit more, go back and get a little bit more. Don't just give everything out. And that's how I balance myself out.
I love that. I think that as you ladies were talking, I was kind of taking bits and pieces from everything that everyone says. And that piece about giving yourself grace is deeper than we may think. And it's easy. It's one of those things that's easier said than done because we are our worst critic. When anything happens, we just go in on ourselves. And I think that we need to pause and really think about how we treat ourselves, how we talk to ourselves internally and externally. And that's the grace that you have to give, the grace that you have to give yourself when no one's looking. And then the other side of that is how beautiful the grace that God gives us. And I don't mind getting preachy, so it's okay. Um, but a part of us giving back to others and us portraying that grace and living in that grace is not looking like what you're going through or not always woe is me complaining about what you're going through, walking with your head held high. And I know each lady on here, we all be going through stuff, but we also show up in a different light, which is some people confuse that for strength and then they don't want to help or don't think we need help or support. However, I thought about it too. I'm like, let me put on a little bit of something tonight because when we show up and others see that, that's the grace. Like, oh my gosh, she's going through, I don't know what, but at the same time, she has enough faith to know that God got that part. Let me handle this part and let me show up in a way that shows faith. I'm excited about this conversation tonight. Make sure that you guys are sharing. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I cannot wait to hear what we have going on next. We'll be back in just a second. Everybody, welcome back. You're watching Warrior Live, and we are in the midst of an amazing conversation. It's going, y'all. So I'm going to bring the ladies back on. But if you are on right now, I want you to put grace in the comments so we know you're there. Because I see people watching, but y'all not saying anything to us, and we need a little bit more feedback. I'm going to bring everybody back. Hey, y'all, I know y'all had time to powder y'all noses and everything, right? Okay. We are coming back and we're ready to roll.
Yes. So we're here and we're on to question number 2, but just understanding that giving yourself grace leads to building grit. So the more that you give yourself the opportunity to grow, you're going to build some grit. And so our second question goes into what steps or actions can we take to develop grit and stay motivated when faced with obstacles that seem overwhelming? What has worked for you? So I'm excited to hear what everybody has to say, because out of all of us, the grit is real. So I'm looking forward to it. So Sass, what do you have to say about this?
So, first thing I had to do was forgive myself for not allowing myself to just be. And to stay motivated, I had to look at where I was trying to go, focus on one thing at a time. That's the best thing, because it is easy to go in the living room and clean up. When you get in the living room, you see something that's supposed to be in the bathroom, you take it in the bathroom, you start cleaning the bathroom. You get in there, you see something that belonged in the kitchen, now you go into the kitchen. I had to focus. So the best thing to do, step one for me, was to focus and leave it at that.
Ooh, grit. I love that, Sass. The first thing I had to do was heal. There was a lot of trauma that I experienced that I was allowing to block my growth, because it was easier to hide behind the wounded woman. A lot of people do that and use that as an excuse. So the first thing I had to do was heal and to accept the fact that I do deserve greatness. So after I started that process, which is an ongoing process, I had to set some goals, because I was kind of just like flying by the seat of my pants, just like living day by day. So I had to set some goals, learn how to do that, because when you're raised in chaos, you're just in survival mode. So I had to get out of survival mode and learn how to be an adult. So definitely setting goals and staying positive. I have a mentor. She's like, "Why are you always smiling?" And I'm like, "Well, why not?" Like, and it's like, it's not being hokey or anything like that. It's just what I do. And the thing that's helped me is building a support system of phenomenal people, people that I can trust, because I had to learn how to trust. I mean, I literally was stuck in adolescence from the trauma, and I had to learn how to do everything. So meeting wonderful people who I can trust is just, that's part of my support system. That has helped me develop my grit and not just be stuck. So, and self discipline, yeah, it's a lot of stuff I had to learn. So
Yeah, I like
that's
that
how I
self
developed that
discipline
grit.
piece. Yeah, I like that self discipline piece. I can talk, Dion, because that's important too. And when I think about grit, and I think about when you go through stuff, and when you in the throes of whatever it is, I think what shines through is your passion for getting things done, your passion for, whatever it is your destiny might be, or your purpose, and then your ability to like have perseverance, because I'm going to keep going. That is what builds grit, because the sheer desire to fulfill God's will for your life, right? The sheer desire to push through, to make things happen regardless. People look at me like, well, how are you still doing this? How are you still doing that? Just as they probably looked at you ladies and thought the same thing. It has nothing to do with me. It is more of the purpose that I know that is on my life. And so I have to push through. And the pushing is the grit. And as we go through more, and as we learn more about ourselves and about our situations, I think that's that evolution, we evolve and we become more, and we get more and more grit from that. So I think that's kind of what really stands out for me when it comes to grit, is understanding that it's based on your sheer will to fulfill God's purpose for your life.
Hmm. And that perseverance stuck out for me too. Um, but in addition to that, it was having a growth mindset, also building resilience. Um, for me, grit is more of an internal work, um, building up self discipline, having a passion, not just for the outer world, but for your inner self. Um, because if you want better, you have to do better. Um, just from my experiences, I would say over the past year, I had to look at myself and the things that I was doing and enduring and wondering why I'm going through these things. And it was because I wasn't doing for myself, I wasn't taking care of myself. So, developing proper habits, developing a passion for me, um, that was grit, developing grit for me, practicing perseverance for me.
You on mute. You on mute. But it sounds good. Whatever that. Look good. Whatever you were saying, look good.
And I said grit is like one of my favorite words, because it's like when you have that, like nothing can stop you. It's like if it's a brick wall sitting right there, and like you thinking like, man, I gotta run through this wall. You gonna run through that wall. You gonna figure it out. And that's what grit is, figuring it out. So for me, how I stay motivated, motivated through the adversity, during like through being overwhelmed, I have goals that are like bigger than myself. If you can't fall asleep at night, that means your goal, if you could fall asleep at night, your goal is not big enough. Like it's something you always want more. You always want to make sure that there's something else you're reaching that's past you. So if it's just for you, then the goal ain't big enough, because then you can give up on yourself sometimes. But sometimes, as women, we work harder for other people, right? So having those goals attached to, whether it's your children, something that's going to get you to go even harder. So when I think about grit, I think about being grounded in the understanding of who you are, grounded in the understanding of what your values are. My number one value is integrity. So that's how I get to the grit, because I'm going to do what's right when nobody's looking. So the G is grounded. And then when you think about R, it's the resilience. Like I'm going to make it through no matter what. Look, the grace under fire through the chaos. I'm going to do it. I is for inner strength, making sure you, even though you're being calm or, loving yourself, just understand that you have the inner strength. You are building something inside of you. And then T is transformation. I'm going to transform into everything and anything that I want. And so that's how you're going to continue to build grit. So that is what I have.
All right. Listen, we're killing the game here tonight. I know that y'all are hearing something that you love. I am getting ready to take us to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have our last question and listen to some comments. We'll be right back. All right, I want to have some fun with some comments before we get back to it. I know that you guys tuned in to hear this great conversation. We are going to push through. We are going to make sure that we do what we need to do to have that grit, that grace, and we continue to grow. I love what Tiffany said. She said, grit is growth, resilience, initiative, and tenacity. Through your experiences, you develop grit. Absolutely. Um, our favorite, Jay Good, our number one realtor. For her, it's easy to extend grace to others. However, giving myself grace is a different story. Like you guys said, we are our worst critics. And I think it's important that we continue to have these types of conversations so that it is okay for us to move forward in a positive way, no matter what the chaos and the situation might be. I'm bringing my co host back on stage, as y'all remember. Coach Sass, CC, Dr. Shamara, and Dion. I'm so glad that these ladies are here. All right, we're going to keep it moving.
Now, I thought about how can we shift our perspective to see challenges as opportunities and growth and turn our setbacks into stepping stones for success. Like, does anyone have a living experience? Like, do you have an example of this? Cece, do you have you lived through an experience like this?
I am living one even now. So, it's sad, but it's true. But in a Black woman in corporate America, unfortunately, we live challenges day to day. Um, and the thing with it is, and I don't want to go into too many specifics, but let's just say that um, being treated unfairly, being overworked, not paid for the work that I'm doing, and expected to get it all done. Um, and with the utmost integrity. And will I do it? Yes, I will, because I have integrity. Um, will I do it with a smile on my face? Yes, I will, because that's who I am. Um, and I take it as a stepping stone for my success because other people will see my abilities. They will take note of my abilities and they will say, this girl will be an asset, excuse me, this woman will be an asset to me in this capacity. She will, I can appreciate what she can do for this company, and they will be able to compensate me accordingly for my abilities and what I can do for them. So am I in a place at this moment in time where I am uncomfortable? Yes, I am. However, I'm moving in a manner that I know that God is pleased because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to do it, and he will elevate me in his time.
Okay.
All right, now Deanna Diva, I see you shaking your head. Do you have an experience you want to share?
Ooh, my mother has a saying of about Esther, such a time as this. And for those that know me, I truly am an introvert. If I get to know you, then yes, I will open up. So I was always comfortable behind the scenes, the worker bee. But God said it was time for me to go into leadership. I went kicking and screaming, but once again, the integrity, knowing that a job has to be done and not wanting to let, not necessarily let others down, but not let myself self down for not even trying. But it was a challenge. I had a vicious attack that really, ooh, it took my growth to the next level because the old me, or even in the beginning of the challenge, I was ready to go down to Louisiana and put roots on this person, honestly.
Oh,
But
Ouch.
and I really internalized it because I hadn't faced it before. So it was something that I definitely had to reframe. I had to learn how to reframe things and not take things personally. I had to understand that I needed that challenge to not only grow, but to be a better leader. So I got sick. I mean, it was like real bad. I mean, I internalized it. I got sick, like bedridden sick, and I came out of it. And I look at that experience, and I can see that person now, and I can see that that person is the wounded person, and I pray for that person because that person is not a well person, and it wasn't me, but God had to send that to me to let you know that, hey, that grit, that perseverance, your integrity, I'm about to challenge all of that to see if you really believe in me, and to believe where you're going to be is where I want you to be, not where you want to be. So yeah, that situation definitely was a growing experience.
Dr. Shamar, now I know being the mindologist, you see, hear, feel, touch a lot of different situations. Can you share with us like a story where you felt like it was a setback, but you came out in the end, on your Muhammad Ali? Well, we're gonna say Layla because you a woman, on your Layla Ali swinging and
And I love
knocking them
Layla.
down.
I love Layla. I wanted to be a boxer because of her. And, but man, I have a few challenges, but I remember the one challenge many people don't know, but I went to medical school for 2 years. And in that, going to medical school for 2 years, I've never had academic issues, and I had academic issues for this particular block. I just could not understand it. And so their protocol at the school was if you can't pass the block on the second try, you have to go to the board. The board did not look like me. So the board said, maybe medicine is not for you. Maybe you need to go look for something else. And so I could have just said, you know what? I'm not going to be a doctor. But I took that as a stepping stone. And I always say, when a door closes, that means it's not a no, it's a delay, it's on hold, it's pending, it's paused, so I can get to the next side. And so that's what I use to get myself through, to say, how else, what other way, or where else do I need to do, or whatever I need to go, or how can I make an impact? Maybe it's not being a medical doctor, maybe now it's being a clinical psychologist. And so just understanding that, when that challenge comes up, it's not saying, stop. It's saying, think about it. What is it? What's going on? Are there patterns, or, should I think about it a different way? And so that's how I view my challenges, and that's how I get through them.
Good stuff, good stuff. Madam Warrior Coach.
Yes.
To whom much is given, much is required. So I
Amen.
know you got something to share.
I I have more than something. Okay, so when I think about this part, I want everyone who's watching with us to understand that these women, including myself, have learned to have grace under fire. We have learned grit and we have grown because of it. Understanding that challenges in the moment of challenges, we don't always face those things with the utmost grace, because we do have to realize that there's a thing happening. And there's this moment where you have to train your mind. And I'm talking to myself, so if y'all mind y'all business for a second, there's a moment where you have to train or change your mindset to say, I will not accept this as a challenge. I will move forward as an opportunity. I will learn from this. I will grow from this. Now, on the flip side of that, feel how you feel in the moment. If the challenge is challenging, feel all of that, because all you're going to do is repress it and put it way down somewhere and become unhealed. So you do have to process how you feel, but then you also have to shift your mindset to understand that this can work for your good, because all things are working for our good. And so I could listen. I got six challenges I could bring up right now. Six of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And to be honest, they're challenges. I might look good, my hair grow back fast, I might look like I feel good, but I don't always. The thing of it is that if I allow my mind to feel how my body is feeling, I will say stay stuck. But it takes a while to understand that. It takes a while, and it takes some good people around you saying, listen, chill out, okay? This is for your good. It's going to work for your good. And everything that is working for your good does not look like it's working for your good. So the growth part of it is when you understand that it's not about what we see or what we think, it's about the bigger plan. Because the table that he's preparing for you in front of your enemies might not look like what you want it to look like. However, it is the table that belongs to you. I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm gonna be quiet, but Sass, that's what I'm saying. I don't have a specific experience. I've got all of my experiences, and they all have been challenging, but I have always been able to turn it around somehow. And that is because your mind controls all of that. It's a mindset shift. And people are always talking about mindset. It's a daily practice. You have to change your mindset every day because it's easier to be negative because that's all we see and hear than it is to be positive.
From everything the lady said, what I got from that was delayed does not mean denial. I seen a post the other day that said if you detach and declutter, you can sit back, look around, and watch what God will design for you. I felt that that post was talking to me because we've been discussing grit, we've been discussing grace, and sometimes I think I am the strongest person, but going through my own personal storm, I'm like, yeah, just because I got these fatigues on, honey, this is just fashion. I really don't feel like this. I really don't feel like that. Beating myself up. So the grace that I'm starting to grant myself is like, why not me? Who am I to not go through something? Who am I to not deal with this? Who am I not to deal with that? So I am, if y'all happen to see me out in public and you see me dancing, just know that I am perfecting my rain dance because when I show y'all gonna be like, dang, where she learned them moves at? And it's better than to me a line dance. So just know that when you see me dancing, that's gonna be my grit coming through. Y'all could just call it the grit because that's what it's gonna be coming through. So setbacks right now look very different for me because I'm going through something that I've never had to experience in a while. But the success part of it is allow me to focus on my business, not just support others. It's allow me to focus on what I want to do and what I need to get done to be able to help other people genuinely the right way. Because when y'all going through y'all issues, I'm already fixing them in my head. I'm learning to step back, not be the fixer, and just assist. But I have to focus on self. So those setbacks are literally stepping stones for me to continue stepping on and over to move on.
Well done. Well said.
Thank you. No.
I want to kind of shift the conversation for a second because one of the things that the title said pushing through, and I learned that oftentimes we push around or we take a shortcut some kind of way, we make a quick left. And what I learned is that growth can't happen until you actually go through it.
Mhm.
And going through it means completely dealing with whatever it is and healing from that thing. And I'm wondering, since healing is a buzzword, Dr. Shamara, what do people really need to understand about healing? Because I'm so sick of everybody, I'm in my healing era, but then in the next post, you talking about somebody, or in the next post is woe is me, this happened. So what is really healing for someone who's been through it, in your opinion?
Healing is understanding acceptance. Healing is understanding that I can only control myself. I can't control anyone around me. I can control the situation that I'm in. I can remove myself from the situation.
Mhm.
Healing is being able to, people always say you can forgive. They ain't say you don't forget it, but you can forgive the person and understand that with me forgiving, it's not you accepting it. If you don't accept it, that's on you, but I can forgive you, right? And so understanding that when you heal, it's not taking a band-aid off and it's reopening a wound. When you heal, that wound is closed. You might have a scar, but it's closed, meaning that it's not going to reopen. And so people need to understand that we're not just putting band-aids on so that when that band-aid come off, it's still a cut. No, we're absolutely doing everything we need to make it heal. We're cleaning it out. We're putting the band-aids on so it can heal. We're taking it off and cleaning it out. So it's going to take a while. I always say healing comes just like grief, right? Don't know where it's going to come from, when it's going to come, but as long as you do the work, you're going to heal. So that's what healing looks like for me. And understanding that's the main thing. You can't control nobody but yourself. And if you don't understand that, you will never heal. You can never understand why somebody else did something else. You can never understand it because you're not them.
Right. So, on top of that, I go back to grace because I want to really make sure that the people that are watching have a really good understanding of what grace for yourself looks like. And one of the things with women, especially Black women, is that everybody counts but them. And so I know, Cece, you were talking about kind of the job situation and things that you've been through. And, we tend to do grace to a fault, if that makes sense. And how can we have grace on ourselves, but also display grace in a situation where we really just want to put the boxing gloves on and take them outside? How no, because that's the thing. People are watching, going through real stuff, and their go-to is violence or cuss them out or whatever, and that really takes away from you. It doesn't take away from them; it takes away from you. And so, and then you happen to be in America, corporate America, right? And so, how does grace come in a situation like what you're going through?
Ooh. Oh man. Oof.
I know it's loaded, wasn't it?
Loaded question. I mean, and again, like I said, I don't want to divulge too much.
Right.
But I will just say that um again, it's heavy on the integrity. It's definitely, I believe that, and the verse slips me right now, but the end of it is heaping coals on the other person's head, because oh Lord, I wish I could remember the whole verse right now, but basically, if I'm showing the person or the people that are doing me wrong grace in the midst of the evil doings, in the midst of the bad talk, in the midst of the cussing out, in the midst of the lies, all of the issues, I'm still showing you grace. I'm still being nice to you. I'm still smiling at you. I'm still producing work for you. I'm still doing everything that I need to do in my role and some of yours too, with a smile on my face. Again, because that's who I am. I'm not tainting my character because you're being a nice person. I'm being facetious.
I know.
But I refuse to um, I refuse to bend. you have to know who you are. And that goes back to, I'm going to take you back to push some time ago and our affirmations and standing in the mirror saying who we are. I am, strong. I am purposeful. I am resilient. Saying we're not saying those things just to say them, because there are times when we really have to pull on those things to encourage ourselves to get through those moments, to ensure that that grace comes through, because those people are going to take us there, and ensure that we don't put on those boxing gloves and take them outside or cuss them out or
Right.
do the things that we really shouldn't do in those environments
Yeah.
to take us out of the character that we need to obtain.
That's good. That's good. We have some good comments going on here. I love this one from Nika. She says, in order to grow, you have to learn to sit in your issues, feelings, etc., while you work on your healing. I think a lot of us are scared to sit in what we're going through. It doesn't slow you down, but if you're able to just sit there momentarily, then you're able to get to the next part where you can grow. And I want to touch on grace with accountability, because yes, you can afford people or show people grace, but they still need to be held accountable for their actions. So you have to be able to hold them to the fire and test their grace while you're going through that. Um, and here's the other thing: like, why are we so hard on ourselves in these moments? Is it societal? What is it? And why can't we get through it? Sass, I'm just wondering what took you so long to get to the point where you realized it was about you? Because it takes us quite a bit. And was it like a catastrophic moment? What happened?
I'm going to be perfectly honest, and I'm not saying this just because we are on this segment, but you got to have a bomb AWS mentor who is not afraid to step on your toes, lift up the mirror, and make you focus, because you can be everything for everybody, but be nothing for yourself.
Mm.
And I did not see myself doing that until it was brought to my attention. And it's like, well, you doing this, you can do that, you did this. So I had to literally get out of my own way. And like I said, realize, why can't you do this? This is what because I have good concepts, but I'm not good. I'm good at putting it out there for somebody else. I can help everybody take their stuff down the street, around the block, to a whole nother city. And myself, I'm just saying, like, well, I don't really have time, when clearly I do. I got time to help you. So it's like, yeah, once I started to see it for myself, I was like, oh, I can do that. I can do that. And I turned everything into like a little conversation piece. And I really do mean it when I say God does not play about me, because it's been times when I felt like, oh God, this is not gonna work. This is not this is not that. And then he come along and he like, didn't I already show you that
Mm-hmm.
this is this? So what, you lost that job? Get them people their job back. You have 2 businesses. That is your job. Do what you need to do. And even though it's almost been 10 years, submission is very hard for me on the marital side. But my husband said something to me the other day, and I was so proud of myself. I told my cousin the next day, I said, I didn't rebut him or anything. He told me, okay, well, focus on your business 24/7. That's what you should have been doing, instead of trying to build
I
everybody
know I
else up.
love Paul for a
And
reason.
I
Come
just,
on in the room,
he
Paul.
shut my mouth wide open. I was just like, I didn't even know what to say. I said, okay.
That
And then I
part.
have a best friend that literally speaks life into me. Every conversation, even going through her own stuff, she's speaking life into me. And she just told me yesterday, she said, everything that you've been through and everything that you're going through, she said, it's a reason for that, because can nobody else tell this story but
Mm,
you?
that's right. That's
And
right.
I was just like, okay. I sat back, and then to seal my night, I watched the Jamie Foxx special, and a lot of the stuff he was saying, it just aligned right with it. He was like, I stopped believing, stopped doing this, and he gifted me a stroke. I felt like I stopped believing. I thought I could make it, I could do it, and he laid me off from somewhere I've been for 7 years. So he removed the blinders, so to speak. And now I'm literally physically truthfully getting out of my way.
That's good. That's good. I got one more thing, and I'm taking it to Dion about this one because this is one thing I struggle with, and I'm really interested to hear your perspective. But in order to show grace, in order to continue to have grit and to grow, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. And for leaders like ourselves, and I'm speaking from experience, vulnerability is difficult for us because we feel like we have to have a certain pers- uh, persona, so to speak, or what have you. But what are your thoughts on that? Is it okay for leaders like us to be vulnerable, and how does that help us and other people?
For me personally, when I can connect to someone who has been vulnerable, I have a deeper connection with them because it increases the trust for me. Because I'm like, if you trust me enough to show that you are a human being, that means a lot to me.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's why I've like connected with you and Dr. Hutchins and Cece. You all have always been so sweet and kind, but bosses at the same time. And I'm like, you can be human. You don't have to be a nasty, quote unquote, housewife type person to succeed in life.
yeah.
So I am all about people being vulnerable. Um, I have my best friend and I, when she got married, we had this little ongoing joke because we're both criers. I'm a crier. And so we're like, we ain't gonna cry. We're not gonna cry this way. We ain't no punks. We ain't gonna cry. And so, but we need to cry. And it's okay to cry in front of people. It's healing. Now, some people are scared to cry because they may not stop crying, but that just speaks volumes to the depth of your hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
So I am all for it. I'm
Mhm.
all for people being themselves, being human, not trying to be perfect, and sharing your testimony because that's part of vulnerability. Your testimony is going to help someone. Like Coach says, no one can tell this story but me.
Right.
So we've all gone through things and we inspire people even though we don't know it sometimes. Because I'm just like I said, I'm for my close friends, they know I'm a goofball. Um, and sometimes I just kind of just like go through life and just like kind of Pollyannish sometimes. But some people have let me know that they appreciate that because there is no errors. So I don't know. I
I
just
love it.
say
I love that, and
just be you.
I appreciate your perspective. I think everybody here, this panel was, you know how things just happen the way they're supposed to happen, and I think this panel, everybody here brought a good perspective, a perspective that resonates with someone who's listening or will listen and watch. I want to say that if you have any questions or comments, real quick, that you would like for us to address, you got about a minute and a half to put them up there because we're getting off at 8 o'clock. Okay. Um, but I do have a question. Was this good for the people that are watching? And I don't care if you're watching the replay or you're watching live. Was this good? Because, the pink table was amazing, but I think that this might be even better. I don't know. Growth, we just have to talk certain people into doing this on a regular basis. But you ain't got to show yourself
I
as the person.
listen, authenticity. It ain't happening.
Okay, well, once a quarter. um, but I appreciate
Quarterly.
everybody for being on. And what we're gonna do right now is just each one of us is gonna give some final thoughts, and then we are gonna wrap up about our topic tonight. We want to thank everybody who tuned in, everybody who's sharing, everybody who will watch that's not watching live. We just want to thank all of y'all. And so I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Shamara, who's being very authentic here today to give her final thoughts on this on tonight's show.
All I have to say is embrace the growth, embrace the grace. Remember, give yourself grace, push out that grit, and commit to growth. The more that you want to commit to growth is going to help you become the best version of yourself. And it's going to help you strive for greatness. So those are the words that I have for you for tonight.
All right. Dion?
Oh, I thought that was it.
Oh.
Oh, I said she
Oh,
wrapped
you
it
gotta,
up
you gotta
so
give your
well.
final thoughts.
Um, be yourself, and everything will fall into place. The grace will come. The grit, everything. When you're going against who you're supposed to be, that's when all the strife and extra things come. Not saying that it doesn't come when you're yourself, because you need a few challenges to continue the growth and to become a better version of yourself. But definitely authenticity. Yep,
Yep.
that's why I don't play poker, because my face just shows it all.
CC.
Oh goodness. Um, you know me. Second Corinthians 12:9 says, and he said to me, my grace is sufficient for thee, and my strength is made perfect in weakness. That says it all. When you're weak, lean on his grace. Um, and he will strengthen you. That's enough.
All right. Coach Sass, your final thought?
For everybody, y'all know I'm good for quoting a meme. I just want to share that you will be tested the most when you feel like you are at your lowest and it's time to elevate to the next level. The best advice I can give: don't fold, don't give in, keep fighting.
Those that don't have any challenges, I wish you well. But your life will be boring and you will never get to the purpose that needs to be fulfilled for your life. Don't watch life happen to you. Jump out, accept the challenges, and do it with grace. And if you fall down, get up and brush yourself off with grace. Your grit will develop over time, and you will be able to withstand every obstacle put against you. You might take a minute, you might cry a little, and you might be angry for a couple of seconds. But remember, it's about changing your mindset, shifting the way you think so that you can be the vessel that you were meant to be. I love each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. I think this conversation was amazing. We are all growing, and life is nothing but a big school. And as we continue to learn, make sure that you align with the right people. I'm going to tell you, everybody can't go into 2025 with you. You've been carrying some people for a while, and they need to go. You've been hanging out at some places and going and eating some things that you just can't do in 2025. What's meant for you is hidden behind some uncomfortableness. And you got to be able to get out of the box. You got to be able to be uncomfortable. And you got to be able to do it with grace, grit, and growth. We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Align with us. If you're not already following us, y'all know how to find us. Okay. Make sure you're following us. Make sure you're coming to the events. Invite us to stuff. We'll be out as well. You guys keep me in your prayers as I go into whoop this surgery's butt on Monday. And I'm just so glad that you all joined us for this conversation on Warrior Live. We will be back in next year in the second quarter because I don't want to get in trouble. So y'all have a great one. We love y'all. Thank you so much for being here and enjoy the rest of your evening. And if you haven't already, eat your dinner and get some rest. Peace.